Dear Vivek, now let us move to the second part.
Yeah. So once again, welcome to the second part of the session, and we will just start. Yeah. So I think in this session right now, PCCF Haryana, Dr. Amarinder Kaur, she is, and Mr. Reddy from PCCF Rajasthan, and Dr. Pradeep Monga, UNCCD Deputy Executive Secretary, and just waiting for Mr. Randeep Hooda.
Hello.
Hello.
वो पिक्चर नहीं क्लियर आ रही विवेक की. हाँ अब आई. ये साइड से नहीं जा सकता.
Can you guys see me?
I think we just wait for Hooda to join and to start the second part. And in the meanwhile, let's thank again to Sadhguruji, who shared his views and experience of Kaveri College and Rally for Rivers initiative and the degradation challenges. And during the conversation with Dr. Pradeep Monga, Deputy Executive Secretary. And now, well, during Desertification Day week, I would also like to highlight that IUCN is organizing a event. First part of that series we organized yesterday, that was the Bond Challenge, and today the main day of the Desertification Day, the nature-based solutions to combat desertification, and with focus on the Aravalli landscape and water conservation initiatives in Haryana. And tomorrow also we will have a very important web skills for future integration of nature-based solutions for sustaining agribusiness. And on the 19th, we will be organizing another series for the nature solution to combat desertification with focus on Vindhyas landscape. And I think I will request other panelists to mute the microphone only when they speak, and then they can log on. And let me meanwhile, Dr. Pradeep Monga once again. He's the Deputy Executive Secretary of the UNCCD, and Dr. Pradeep Monga, and we have Dr. Amarinder Kaur, Chief Conservator of Forest from Haryana. And the detailed introduction of the panelists, I am just waiting for Mr. Randeep Hooda and Dr. Reddy. He is the PCCF of the Rajasthan. Sir, Dr. Monga, what do you suggest? Should we wait for Mr. Randeep Hooda to log in, or we can continue?
I suggest we continue because we have the global audience and people have put their time. We can continue, and when he joins, maybe you can welcome him again. That will be better.
Okay. So I gave you an introduction of Dr. Pradeep Monga, and as a Deputy Executive Secretary, he has a wide experience, and he has been member of Indian Administrative Service also, working with various international organizations. So just for the interest of the attendees who joined a little late, so I'm reintroducing him. And also have Dr. Amarinder Kaur, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest from Haryana State. Dr. Amarinder Kaur is the senior most serving lady Indian Forest Service officer in the country, and throughout her career, she has been working in communities, especially women, to further the cause of increasing tree cover, conservation of environment, and judicious use of the common property resources so that their rejuvenation capacity is not impaired. She has trained about the rural people, including women, in the methods of their lands under agroforestry and farm forestry. This has not only increased their income, but assisted in environment conservation. She has done PhD in assessing the impact of forestry extension programs, and she has a work is to she has the experience of motivating or rejuvenating the self-help groups and assisting them and various type of women empowerment program. And she is head of the cell, because Haryana First Department, a women empowerment has been specially created, and she has been heading that cell. And following them, she has been also awarded the Shri in 2016 on the International Women's Day. Now, let me turn up to another panelist, Dr. G.V. Reddy. He also brings a very vast experience at the state level as well as also at the international level. He's an Indian Forest Service officer of 1995 batch, and he has a vast experience as a director of the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, praising his efforts. His Banswara Forest Division that was just the best division in the year 1996, and the governor of Rajasthan conferred him the Government of Rajasthan Merit Certificate in 1997. He is a keen wildlife enthusiast and dedicated conservationist. For his contribution to conservation, he received many national and international awards for his dedicated service. The awards include Iucn Specialist Group Merit Certificate, ABN AMRO Sanctuary Award, Kaljis Award, Green Earth Foundation, Eco Award. He is the only officer who accompanied also US President Bill Clinton during his visit to Ranthambore in 1990. So with these words, I welcome everyone once again on the occasion of UN Desertification and the Drought Day. And before we proceed further, I think we can have a look. We can share the video message from the. I think now Mr. Randeep Hooda has also joined. So before we proceed, let us all welcome Mr. Randeep Hooda. Vishnu, can you turn his screen? I am not able to.
Yes, sir. Just give me a moment.
Mr. Randeep Hooda, am I audible?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Can you switch on your video, because everyone wants to see you?
I am unable to switch on the video. I've been trying, and I don't know what the problem is. Somebody's I've already called somebody for it. I really apologize. I thought it would be as simple as clicking on the thing like the apps are these days. Though I can clearly hear you guys and see you beautiful people, I'm unable to come on that. But somebody's working on it. Maybe soon. Maybe soon.
Okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, this technical problem is solved. Let us all welcome Mr. Randeep Hooda. Mr. Randeep Hooda, he hails from Haryana and has completed his schooling from the Motilal Nehru School of Sports and Delhi Public School. He has a bachelor degree in marketing from Australia. Mr. Hooda is a very vocal environmentalist. He is also one of the most engaged social media celebrities in India. Mr. Hooda has recently taken up the cause of tiger conservation and hopes to bring about a change in the man-animal conflict areas in India, the highest conflicting big cat population across the globe. He was appointed by the United Nations in program as the ambassador for the aquatic migratory species during the Convention on Migratory Species COP, which was held recently in the month of February in India only. So welcome to Mr. Randeep Hooda once again. So Mr. Randeep Hooda will be sharing his views as an ambassador. Yeah, welcome. And he will be sharing his views, and as an ambassador, he will stress the need for reducing the human footprint, water conservation, undertaking massive afforestation, healthy soils for everyone health, and species of natural habitat. So welcome, Mr. Hooda, once again. And before taking further, I would now will be sharing the video message from the Executive Secretary of the UNCCD, Mr. Ibrahim Theo. Vishnu, please switch on the video.
Dear friends, this year, living under the shadow of COVID-19 choices seem to have vanished for many of us. We can't choose where we go, how we work, and how we celebrate with our friends, our families. We should be celebrating the just ended decade on desertification, for example. But as people suffer and as jobs and income are lost, we at the UN Convention to Combat Desertification instead extend our deepest sympathies to everyone affected. While some of our choices and freedoms have been temporarily curtailed, we have not lost all power and influence. We can still make some important choices. If we take care of nature, nature will take care of us. We need nature. Nature does not need us. If we intrude into nature's wild spaces and degrade the land, we can expect more zoonotic diseases to emerge. We can expect the services land provides us with, healthy food, clean air and water, to disappear. In our globalized world, the food we eat, the feed for our livestock, and the fiber for our clothes impact land thousands of miles away. Each of us hold the power to protect the land for each choice we make in our daily lives. And we can still choose to protect nature. By doing so, we in fact protect our future. The food we lose or waste every year uses 1.4 billion hectares. By wasting food, we indeed waste land and water. We waste our biological resources. We emit carbon. We jeopardize the future of new generations. In most cases, how much food we waste is entirely our choice. The land used to graze and produce grains to feed animals make up 80% of agricultural land, but we can choose a more balanced diet. By 2030, the fashion industry is expected to use 35% more land, much of it to grow materials for cheap and throwaway fashion. But we can choose that shirt or those jeans more carefully. Those choices do not diminish our quality of life. On the contrary, they improve it. A new social contract for nature would see humankind committed to building back better, smarter, and stronger in the years to come. If we choose to work in harmony with nature, we will avert land degradation. We will curb our emissions. We will reverse biodiversity loss. If we choose to restore the land rather than destroying it, we can create jobs and opportunities. If, like us, you are inspired by the 80 countries that have pledged to restore 400 million hectares by 2030, you can choose to support communities restore their land. By doing so, you restore hope too. Your choices matter, and no choice is too small. Thank you.
फिर चले गए.
Thank you, everyone. And I think problem in video viewing. So, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. And sorry for this some little technical glitch. So once again, taking it further, I think Mr. Randeep, we are still looking that your technical issue is resolved and we are able to see everyone is quite eager to see you and take message forward. So taking it further, first of all, let me request Dr. Pradeep Monga, Deputy Executive Secretary, UNCCD. Sir, UN Desertification and the Drought Day is held on each year. And this year it will focus changing public attitudes to the leading driver of desertification and land degradation. humanity's relentless production and consumption. The health and productivity of existing arable land is declining, worsened by climate change. What this day means in the global context, and would you like to acquaint us with the global scenario on desertification and land degradation?
Into this second segment of our webinar, let me again welcome and congratulate all the panelists who are on board now, especially my colleagues from Forest Service and of course Mr. Randeep Hooda, who is a national icon. Especially his concern for environmental conservation is well known. Vivek, one thing I would like to add before I mention about the global context, that I started my career as Indian Forest Service officer also before I joined IS in 77. So it means I'm still a forest officer at heart. So because that's what I learned and which I try to implement throughout my life so far. Now coming to the global context, you have already seen a video of our executive secretary, and he has given very clear picture of how global production and consumption patterns are really linking to food, feed, and fiber, and how we can really look at the food loss or more demand for food, fiber, or the feed can really impact on planet very much. Just let me give you 2 or 3 figures on the global context. As we speak, we have 2 billion hectares of global land. Almost 25% of global land is degraded land. As we speak, 3.2 billion people who reside around these lands are affected, mostly in Africa and Asia. And of course, it is not a brainer when we talk about we need population growth from 7 billion to becoming 9 billion. Even by 2030, we'll require another 300 million hectares of land, which will have to be, we have to cultivate to feed our growing population as well as growing quality of life. So when we talk about all these figures, I just want to bring one point to home here for everyone to consider, that unless we use our land more productively, more nature friendly, more eco-friendly, more agriculture smart, resilient for the climate change side approaches, we will be losing out that battle very soon. And of course, land is a key solution for, again, handling or addressing climate change as well as biodiversity conservation. And for us, this becomes very relevant on this World Desertification and Drought Day, how we really bring all stakeholders together, governments, UN, international organizations, NGOs like IUCN and others, who can really invest together our attention towards sustainable land management, and also having a paradigm shift in our lifestyles, the way we consume food, the way we really avoid waste, where we consume energy and have more energy efficiency or clean energy systems, and the way we are looking at circular economy, and where we are looking at eco restoration efforts. And for me, healthy nature means healthy people. Healthy people means healthy lands, and of course, healthy lands means healthy planet. So, in the global context, we really would like to give this message very clearly to the world today and raise the awareness that if we focus on managing food, feed, and fiber through our sustainable land management, through bringing land degradation neutrality, bringing all those green practices that can make all the difference in lives of people, in economies of the countries around the world, and also at the global context, we can bring all stakeholders together to invest in land for sustainable future that we want. Yes, Vivek, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Monga, for enlightening us with your views, the global perspective on the land degradation issue, especially on this today's very. And now, with the technical glitch is over, and Mr. Randeep Hooda is also on the screen. Now, we welcome Mr. Randeep Hooda once again, and welcome, Mr. Randeep Hooda. And please, finally, your fans and all, they are able to see you on the screen. And
thank you, sir.
taking the discussion further, you talked about the land degradation. land degradation and land degradation neutrality by 2030 is the core mission of the UNCCD. The Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji also during that UNCCD COP 14 was held in India only last year, had made an additional commitment of about bringing 5 million hectares under the landscape restoration, apart from 21 million hectares which under the Bond Challenge Forest Landscape Restoration India has already pledged. So what do you think that about, what are your comments that the Indian leadership and political vision and the pace on achieving it in the global perspective, and also in what way UNCCD can assist the countries in achieving these targets?
Highlighted the fact that how much skewed, like earlier I highlighted the fact that how much skewed we have ratio between population and land density. Land density in in India, we are talking about almost 1/3 of Indian land, amounting to 100 million hectares, which is degraded land. So this becomes very important for India that we use our land very sustainably, whether it's increasing urbanization, increasing demographics, and increasing demand for food and water. I think there's an echo going on. Is it coming? Let me try if
And then there is some mic problem.
there's a yes. Is it better now?
It sounds like an alarm.
Oh, okay. Now it's better.
Alarm
Okay.
of desertification, it was.
You're right. You're Mr. Hooda, you're absolutely right. I think so. There was something coming up, but now it's better. We could resolve it. I hope. Can you hear me again? Hello. Am I clear?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are talking about Indian context here. It's very important to understand that we have almost 1/3 of Indian land. Let me repeat. Out of 326 million hectares of land, 100 million is degraded land, and that is very skewed when we look at the global Indian population, which is 18% of the world. So 18% population, less than 3% of land of the world, and out of that, 1/3 of land is skewed. And also, we are talking about this degraded land, also, which is spread over 10 to 12 states, which we call hotspot state in India. India is losing between 2 to 2.5% of the GDP every year. And this is where we feel we need a paradigm shift on moving into land degradation neutrality in India and rest of the world, which it simply means that how we counterbalance, recover land given for infrastructure, for industry, for livelihood options, and recover it from the degraded land so that there's a zero net balance when we talk about productive land in India. And that is where we are very happy to note that during COP14, India's leadership was coming out very clearly, where our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi ji mentioned that India will restore 26 million hectares of land, degraded land, by 2030. And that's where we feel is a leadership role India is playing to bring a global movement, global revolution of making this world land degradation neutral by 2030.
Sounds like a
Thank
new
you. I
species
think
of
again the
insect
same
we
echo.
found in the desert.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Monga. So can I take it further? Yeah. So now coming to Mr. Randeep Hooda. Mr. Randeep Hooda, you are known for standing up for wildlife and nature conservation. Would you like to tell us about your work in this sector and what you think why it is so important to our commitment to the nature, and the occasion of the desertification and drought day, what new initiatives we should take?
I think it has become very important that we look at the limited resources of nature and environment around us. We take it for granted a little. Our exploitation has been very massive, and we have to look at it as a limited source, as an unavoidable source. We cannot survive without it. And I got this sense. I was interested in nature. And over the years, it became environment, and we didn't even realize, and the preciousness of it became so much more pronounced. I've always felt that as a person, see, a lot of conversations happen like in this. We are talking to the converted. I feel that I can play a role in talking to the unconverted and take the conversation to larger people who are not just policymakers, but people who live in these environments. It's only through their habit changes, only through their awareness and their appreciation of the world around them and how it can be bettered and what harm they're doing it to them. Only through that can change occur, really. The figures that Dr. Monga gave are just absolutely scary. I did not know about desertification so much. I was asked to be a part of this webinar. But it's like any other habitat loss, whether it is forests or wetlands or deserts. I feel deserts are also a habitat which has its own species of flora and fauna, from foxes to lizards to the great Indian bustard, which is like the tiger of the desert kind of a thing. So their habitat has also to be protected, and there has to be a differentiation between the desert habitat and the desertification of the degradation of land. We should absolutely prevent that, but also have measures to preserve the desert landscape as well. Now, the exploitation that has happened are usually habitual of what I have read. They are through, using the wood for fuel, or bad agricultural practices, which can be very well, educated. People can be educated about it and provided different means to make a living, or different ways to make it. I think that will make the change. And I am somebody who understands that this whole earth, this whole everything is just one organism, and I'm a part of it. And if I have to survive, it is imperative that I learn about it, I appreciate it, and I take steps to correct it.
Thank you, Mr. Randeep, for having so much passion for the nature. I think others, please keep their mic muted. Thank you, Randeep, and taking it further. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Hooda, since you to Haryana has Aravalli is also, and you can say Haryana falls under the arid and semi-arid zone. And by chance, I am also a forest officer having Haryana cadre. So typically, we share the same terrain. So I would like your views that what is the importance of the, you can say, Aravalli landscape and water conservation issues, especially in Haryana?
See, water conservation is probably not so linked with Haryana's particular problem, because in Haryana the agricultural practices and over-reliance on groundwater for agriculture has made the water problem. The water table has gone down a lot. In fact, I was speaking to the Chief Minister. I was taking his interview, which wasn't an appeasing interview. I grilled him, and environment was one of my points, and Aravalli was also one of my points. So he pointed out the measures that the government is planning to take to increase the water table, like they've started this whole thing of, Mera Pani Meri Virasat, which basically means that certain areas are not going to be growing rice paddy in the near future, so that the soil can take water in, because it makes the topsoil so oily, doesn't absorb water. So little steps like that are being taken about water. As for Aravallis, I spoke to him. I said there is a lot of encroachment in Aravalli, and what are you going to do about it? What about the Punjab Land Act? Because that is a protection act for the Aravallis. And he said that that is an old act, about 100 years old, which it demarcates an area which no longer exists. He said, if I was to apply that, there will be colonies and multinational companies, their buildings and infrastructure that are going to go under it. So that's what they're trying to do. They are trying to adapt that act to today's geographical and geographical development in that area, and market it so that he said he will not let go of an inch of Aravalli. Now Aravalli is a barrier for all the Balu Rate, they call it Balu Rate. It's all the sand from the desert of Rajasthan that's coming towards Haryana. There are a lot of sandstorms and everything. So Aravalli acts as a bank for that. And Aravalli itself is a habitat which has many precious flora and fauna species which are specific to it. And it is also a green lung around that area. Haryana has lost all its forests except for in the north, Chandigarh and beyond towards Himachal. There is a bit of a forest left, and the other part is all this Bhonsi and Aravalli area which is there. So he's pledged to take measures to protect it. So the biggest problem for Aravalli, I think, is encroachment and destroying of that particular peculiar habitat.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hooda, for sharing your views. And certainly, being next to the Delhi, and the green lungs are the need of the hour, and especially is environment. Recently, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, also announced the creation of 200 city forests. Now, with this, you can say pandemic outbreak and all, the connect with the nature is the need of the hour. So we have to ensure our connect with the nature. As Sadhguru also pointed out during his conversation today, that we are the only human being. We think the others are not the problem, but human beings are the main problem, and we have to coexist with the other species which nature has provided. Now, taking it further, luckily we have with us in the panel Dr. Amarinder Kaur. She is the senior most Indian service officer presently in the country, and she is the senior most lady forest officer. And welcome, Dr. Amarinder Kaur. And since we have come to discussion on Haryana, can you share your views that Haryana being primarily an agriculture state, having more than 80% of the land under cultivation, but at the same, how do you foresee on the occasion of the desertification and drought day, and with the issues pertaining to the depletion of the ground water table, what role forestry sector can play, and what are your views on that?
Thank you, Vivek. On behalf of Forest Department, Haryana, and on my own behalf, I thank you, Iucn, for giving me this opportunity to share my views on this vital issue of desertification with special reference to Aravallis on this drought and desertification day. See, we all know, yes, Haryana is an agricultural state, and due to prevalence of certain agriculture practices, we are facing problems with respect to our soils and water. Now, people as well as government is aware of these problems, and that is why we are moving forward in a mode of correction. Government, as told by Randeep, that we have started Mera Pani Mera Virasat. That is a step taken in the areas which are considered as dark zones, meaning thereby the water table has gone beyond 40 meters. So in these areas now government is encouraging diversification of the crops and giving them incentives of about rupees 7,000 per acre for small and marginal farmers. There is some kind of subsidy also available on micro irrigation and drip irrigation. About 80% is the subsidy. Apart from that, there is buyback of the crops which we are encouraging our farmers instead of paddy. So these are some of the initiatives which will help. It may take time, but it will certainly help in restoring the water level, which is going down every year considerably. Apart from that, the stubble burning is also an issue as far as the depletion of our soils is concerned, because it leads to loss of organic matter. That step has also been taken for correction, that government, though we are making large scale awareness programs for not doing the stubble burning, but it is still happening, and every practice, it takes time to come in and go as well. So government is now encouraging and giving them a bonus of about 2,500 rupees per acre. So these are some of the steps which in the agri sector has also been initiated, and Jal Hi Jeevan Hai, this has also been in practice for quite some time. Now, as far as the forestry sector is concerned, if we talk with special reference to Aravallis, we all know what Aravalli is. Aravalli, otherwise, if we take it, its literal meaning, it's wall of stones or rocks. And a common perception is that Aravalli is a withered rocks area where there is very little of soil, depth, organic matter, of course, scanty. Then rainfall is very less. And as a result, it is devoid of good vegetation, which earlier it used to be good forest of Anogeissus pendula, dhok jungle, which we used to call. And there are some remnants of that kind of forest as on today also. We have beautiful Jhir forest in Firozpur Jhirka today also. So this is the geographical features of Aravalli, and it is practically due to various biotic pressures. Now it is devoid of vegetation. We all know when there is vegetation, it leads to interception of the precipitation as well as filtration. Now the Aravalli.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Vivek.
Yeah. Please, ma'am, carry on.
Yeah. So now, if we talk,
please.
If we see the aquifers in Aravallis, these are withered rocks, and the aquifer water can be filtered well. So whatever is the precipitation or the rainwater, though it is very less, but if we can harvest every drop of water, which our aim should be, and it is, so then its filtration is, percolation is good, and the aquifers are interconnected. However, in some areas, due to mining, some of the areas and the aquifers, they have become open, and they are cause of concern. So we have taken cognizance of all these issues for which are important while we go for the rehabilitation or the rejuvenation of vegetation in Aravalli areas. We can identify Aravalli areas in 2-3 categories. There is one category which is very difficult areas, and they are the tabletops where manually works can't be executed. Then the other areas which are devoid of vegetation, but due to various human biotic factors, we are not able to regenerate till now. And the next comes the areas which are near to habitation, as mentioned earlier, that there are some encroachment and other issues, or even the genuine needs of the people as well as their cattle, that we also have to consider. We all are stakeholders in nature. So if we learn to, the issue is now after COVID, we have started realizing we need to live in consonance with the nature. Nature is bountiful in blessings, but it is a merciless God.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kaur. Certainly, you have raised very valid points. And for these issues, we also have with us Dr. G.V. Reddy. And in the meanwhile, we will be taking also the audience questions, if any, which we will be asking. So Dr. Reddy, the Principal Chief Conservator of Forest from the Rajasthan, another Aravalli state, because Aravalli it starts from the Gujarat and then Rajasthan, then Haryana, and ends up in Delhi. And these mountain ecosystem, along with the Vindhyas also, on which also we will have another webinar on 19th of this month. These are the landscapes or mountains which are very, very important for, you can say, when we talk on the degradation day, how to ensure that land is to be restored. So Dr. Reddy, can you share your views and the initiatives with the government of Rajasthan for the water conservation and also for the Aravallis?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Vivek Saxena ji and Dr. Pradeep Monga sir. And thank you, Iucn, for giving me this opportunity. My previous speakers have spoken a lot about the Aravallis and their important significance in conservation, water conservation. I would like to just bring two important things. One is Rajasthan has a maximum Aravalli range right from Alwar district to the Sirohi district. It's almost 50 kilometers length. Somewhere it is 10 kilometers wide, and somewhere it is more than 70 to 80 kilometers wide. Most importantly, the Chambal River on the eastern side, the Banas, the Banganga on the eastern side, the Aravalli is the catchment area. On the western, we have the Luni River, the only river flowing to the run of Kutch. So these rivers are the only lifelines for Rajasthan for survival. Unfortunately, the oldest mountains in the world are facing severe problem. In some districts like Rajasthan adjoining to Haryana and the national capital region, the forests have disappeared. The Supreme Court had to intervene and start a series of orders to restore or to stop and do this. And we all know that Aravallis are very important to stop the land degradation and desertification. And if we want to stop the desert coming from the southern Sahara to the eastern Delhi or NCR region. However, it's becoming difficult because of the mineral wealth. So Rajasthan government has a lot of things in place, especially government is trying to reforest the degraded areas through a lot of forestry activities. We had Aravalli project exclusively for restoring and conserving the forests of Aravalli region. And after that, we had Japanese project, and now we are going to have one more project to restore them. And there are very good examples in Udaipur region, and where people have participated through JFM activities to restore them. And the Aravallis, entire Aravallis are very important for Rajasthan because all the three tiger reserves, the Sariska Tiger Reserve, Ranthambore, and also Mukundra Tiger Reserve, they are all in the Aravallis. And we have the Chambal Gadial Sanctuary also in the Aravallis. So the state government has a lot of attached a lot of importance to save this. Apart from that, we have a lot of mineral wealth, like I said, the marble industry in the entire southern zone. It's causing a lot of problems. And one or few issues which I would like to bring it to the notice of the panelists and also to the public who are listening. Out of 33 districts, the Aravalli is present in 15 districts. It's a huge area. And the entire tribals of Rajasthan, they are dependent on this natural forests of this area. When I look at it, what are the issues? When I joined the state 35 years back in 1987, I have seen good forests of Aravallis. Now, after 30 years of service, I see that there is a lot of degradation, of course, because of the increased population. Apart from that, there are institutional mechanisms which require, even IUCN can think about all this. One is, at least at this stage, if we want to stop this degradation, like they have agreed to do it by 2030, Prime Minister has also agreed to do the planting in 2.6 million hectares. I think we need a comprehensive planning, land use guidelines. Every inch, or if not at least 1 square kilometers, we should be able to have the baseline right now, so that we can say these are meant for nature conservation, these areas are meant for mining, these are meant for human habitation. Let us declare it, which we don't have it right now. Though we say that the Aravallis are the oldest mountains, we don't have that landscape level planning of deciding which land use to be followed for every square kilometers. Number one. Number two, there should be an agency to coordinate these activities. Right now, mining department is giving mining, the forest department is doing planting, the river valley systems are doing river valley conservation. Whereas we need a single coordinated agency to coordinate with different agencies involved in this conservation of, if we are serious about conserving, protecting the Aravallis. Because we always talk about theoretically, you look at any letter, we say that Aravallis are very important to stop the desertification entering into the eastern side of the Haryana and Rajasthan. But we have to do it. The third most important is need one institution like Birbal Sahani Institute of Paleontology for the exclusively we have it for Himalayas. We don't have a single institution or think tank for Aravallis. It's a good initiative that IUCN has started a dialogue with the participatory state. We should have the Gujarat also in this webinar, so that we all three could have thought and given ideas to how to really stop this degradation and restore the greenery, so that the water regime, whatever we are having it is restored and maintained. And we have a lot of things, apart from this, we have the Sambar Lake, which is a natural heritage site. The Bharatpur, Keladevi, it's also natural heritage sites. There are so many things in the Aravalli ranges, but we need, more focus and attention. Apart from that, we need to bring in a law so that the land use is protected and preserved. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Reddy, for sharing your views. And certainly opportunities are there. We have a number of projects, but the will to implement and ensuring that the results and the coordination, especially the focus on the Aravallis as a, you can say, research body, also you can say biodiversity of the documentation of that, and the coordination between the Aravalli states, and certainly with the UNCCD Deputy Executive Secretary being there. I think during the COP also we discussed some legacy project, and this Aravalli landscape and the Vindhyas landscape, they have, you can say, good potential if we want to certainly undertake these targets related to land degradation utility. I will coming back to Dr. Monga later on in this session, but meanwhile, we will take advantage of the presence of Mr. Randeep Hooda again. Sir, you have been recently appointed as an ambassador of Convention of Migratory Species to raise awareness of migratory species and the work of Convention. How do you think the land degradation is affecting species migration around the world and especially in India?
See, land degradation is basically habitat degradation, like whether it's, let's say, wetlands, they're very necessary for us to have, so that these migratory species on their larger travels, the birds can, rest, feed, breed, and move on their cycle. Similarly, the forests play a part in it, and I feel the desert also plays a very important part in it. Uh, the whole our greed and our small-minded exploitation, which in everybody feels that, oh, I'll do it, doesn't matter. So that increases, and all across the thing, all across the habitats, it has collectively become a larger issue, which has to be, I feel, tackled by strong laws and implementation of those laws, and also to uh, empathetically think about those people who are in constant touch of the environment, whether they are small farmers, tribals, whether they are industries that are coming up. There has to be a very strong check and balance kind of a thing in it. I know development is unstoppable where we are sitting now. It was once a habitat of natural species. So people do need these roads and land use and everything. So empathetic view towards them, and including all parties in the all stakeholders to come together and think of everybody empathetically and know that there is only one goal. Whether it's migratory species in India are not only just birds, there are very many sea species as well. We've got elephants who are migrating amongst Southeast Asian countries, tigers. So there are all kinds of habitats, and desert is also a habitat. I mean, I used to see sand dunes in Jaisalmer, which were very pretty to shoot and all that. That was also a habitat which was obviously degraded land created, but it had its own species. There is now scanty bush which did not even belong there. So every habitat has to be protected, and we have to, when we recharge the Aravallis, we have to be very careful about planting native species which are natively, they belong there. There's a lot of problem in many habitats where foreign species of plants especially have entered and created havoc and killed so desert is also a habitat, and it is also something we need because there are particular species there, biodiversity. But to prevent it from the land for other uses to go into that is a larger issue, and I'm quite surprised at the figures that Dr. Monga put out, and I'm glad that India is taking a forefront and a step of aggressively tackling it.
Randeep, and certainly another question that you being a film actor, what passion brought you to the care for this? And by sharing your views, you seem to be a real champion and ambassador. And I will come back to you again during the discussion that and with the presence of the UNCCD Deputy Executive Secretary Dr. Monga, and certainly with Randeep as a film actor, I think he can have a mass appeal to sensitize people to take the cause of the degradation, because ultimately, if we have a healthy soils, only that
we have to convert the
healthy soils can only
conversation with the converted. Let's go out and convert the unconverted. That's the only way. It is, the populations are so large, people have such small problems they are dealing with. So education, empathetic application, and we have to take it out of the discussions. This is very important in policy making, and people like yourselves who are so entrenched in it and who know so much about it and can holistically come together. But ultimately, there has to be a medium to reach that farmer or that tribal or that person to change his habit and also provide him with alternatives. You can't just say, "Oh, stop this." No, man. He's barely trying to get two bites to eat a day. So we have to be empathetic towards them and take this conversation to them in their regional languages and address their particular issues.
Yeah, thank you, Randeep. And now coming to Dr. Monga, I think UNCCD very objective of area land degradation neutrality and you can say the mass appeal of Mr. Randeep Hooda, I think certainly we all will be benefited to take the cause of the addressing the degradation and drought-related challenges. Now, another important aspect, Dr. Monga, I would like to ask that the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic has brought the entire global community at crossroads. COVID-19 pandemic is believed to be rooted in the destruction of habitat or our disconnect with the nature, or probably wet wildlife market or illegal wildlife trade. What, in your opinion, are the implications of this pandemic on the efforts of conservation community and governments on their commitment to achieve balance with the nature?
Can you hear me
Vishnu,
now?
can you
Hello?
unmute?
Yes,
I have done it. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir. That's fine, sir. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question on how we are looking at the world, especially on land degradation neutrality in terms of a post-COVID-19 world. COVID-19 has changed the world forever, and I think so. Whether we are talking about land, ecosystems, nature, and of course humanity as a whole, we have to come to a new normal here. But first, before going that, let me just comment on 2 or 3 things. First, what Dr. Reddy mentioned, it's very important that we look at nature as one and environment as one, not in silos, whether we're talking about mining, whether we're talking about development, infrastructure, ecosystem restoration together. Second, like Dr. Kaur mentioned about very well, that Aravalli is an ecosystem. It's a unique ecosystem. It's a lungs of like northern part of India, especially in Haryana, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and some of these states. And like Mr. Hooda mentioned, time has come to make eco restoration, landscape restoration as a people's movement. And for we need that champion, and what more better champion can be we have in terms of Mr. Hooda and others who are really taking up, reaching out to masses, because that's where I feel the change starts for ourselves first, and then we really propagate it to the rest of the people and really motivate through the champions what we have. Now, coming back to your question on COVID-19 pandemic, basically from UNCCD perspective, we believe it's a wake-up call from nature. It's a wake-up call, is a health pandemic. All countries are facing this health pandemic and taking measures to save, protect lives and make people healthy in the given circumstances for last couple of months. But at the root cause is environmental degradation. Mr. Hooda mentioned about migratory species, absolutely right. We are talking about habitat destruction and illegal trade of wildlife. And while habitat destruction and illegal trade brings humans and animals more closer together, then these diseases can pass on from animals to humans, which is called zoonosis phenomena, and that is occurring. And of course, COVID-19 is part of that. But I do see it has also become a economic crisis because people have lost their livelihoods, economies have been shut down around the world, including India. And now when we talk about unlocking the economy, and which is happening, of course, it has a lot of other dimensions. But just let me focus on post-COVID-19 world. Besides other things, I think when we are restarting investments and we are restarting economies, it's also the choice we'll make. Can we invest more on sustainable production and consumption patterns? Can we focus more on sustainable land management issues like land use? Land use, bringing land degradation neutrality. Whenever we need land for any productive activity, productive so-called, not from the nature point of view, from human point of view, infrastructure, industry, livelihoods, can we convert equal terms of land into a productive land which is already dedicated? Because otherwise the balance between our population density and land is really becoming very, very skewed. And in UN, what we call as a given call by our Secretary General to build back better. COVID-19, post-COVID-19 world is giving us that opportunity that we must invest in nature. And this investment by choice should go where we can make this world better, where human, nature, and planet, we can coexist. And that's where Dr. Reddy mentioned also how we connect the dots. Dots where development, environment, and of course nature, all we are coming together to make this world more sustainable. A very good example could be circular economy. A very good example could be sustainable value chains. A very good example should be sustainable consumption patterns, the lifestyle choices we make on daily life. And most importantly, how we really look at ecosystem services farmers are applying. And here, let me just conclude by giving you very specific examples. When we invest in land, we invest in climate resilience, we also invest in biodiversity conservation. A very good example is if we restore 10 hectares of degraded land, we are creating 2 jobs, directly or indirectly. If we are investing $1 in degraded land to make it more productive and healthier, we are getting returns of $5 to $10. So whether we are talking about doubling or tripling the incomes of farmers, whether we're talking about livelihood options, investing in land through sustainable agriculture practices, agroforestry, landscape restoration approaches, water catchment approaches, and that's where the legacy programs comes in, which is one of the outcome of COP14. You mentioned about it, Vivek, briefly. At COP14, Government of India declared that it will bring about a legacy program. It is still under preparation. The focus as of now will be on states, hotspot states like Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and others. And Aravalli will be one of the main focused areas. Contours of this program are still being worked out. But it's very important because besides legal, institutional, financing issues, we make it is people's movement, people revolution. Because unless common man is fully involved in saving and conserving our ecosystems, I feel whatever we do, whether in government, in UN or otherwise, will never be successful. So it has to be more inclusive, more interdisciplinary, more interconnected approach when we talk about ecosystem restoration in India, especially the, I hope, legacy program, which will be finalized in coming months, will one of the major mega projects for India. And India requires many of such legacy program projects for southern India, for Western Ghats, and for many other ecosystem zones of India, where we can really launch such scaling up of such programs, especially also bringing the private sector, besides iconic figures like Mr. Hooda, who can really move the masses and convey our message very clearly.
Thank you, Dr. Monga, and you have certainly raised a very valid point. This COVID crisis certainly also teaches us, and we need to look into when we see the cleaner air, cleaner water surrounding us. This is all what we want. So if the surrounding air is clean, we have cleaner water, sources of the drinking water, our health will be okay. So the way we want to look at the nature surrounding us, because we need nature. Nature has already number of species. Human being is one of them. So we need nature. Nature may or may not need us. So I think that should be the important motto. And you certainly talk about the legacy program and the forest landscape restoration need, and you can say focused approach. I would also highlight under the Bond Challenge commitment of now, for which globally there is a 150 million hectares by 2020 and 300 million hectares by 2030, with India's commitment now enhanced to 26 million hectares. So IUCN is the global reporting secretariat for the Bond Challenge reporting, and already IUCN is assisting Government of India and capacity building for the Bond Challenge reporting, as well as for the capacity building for identifying the restoration opportunities. And that project is already has been initiated. And Haryana is also one of the states through the restoration opportunity mapping. We will be assisting in their capacity building. Taking it further, because biodiversity conservation, as Mr. Randeep Hooda is also ambassador for the species conservation, and for then we talk about the biodiversity conservation and our rich heritage. Aravalli should be in our heart, and our mission should be Aravalli Hriday Se. Aravalli is for the ensuring sustainable environment. Now I'm coming back to Dr. Amarinder Kaur, PCCF Haryana. Madam, somehow because lot of urbanization and the pressure on this mountains, especially because a lot of cities surrounding that and number of other challenges we've already discussed. I understand that Haryana is initiating some of the landmark initiatives for the biodiversity conservation through use of the seed balls for the seeding of indigenous species. And later on, I will also request Dr. Reddy to listen to their state's initiative. So what are the Haryana's plans to ensure, because indigenous species, we should not go for the exotic, what is in the nature. Nature has itself decided that which species should be in which geographic location. So, and if we respect that and ensure that conservation, I think that should be the one of the key motive. So what are the initiatives Haryana is planning to do in this regard?
Vivek, as I had told earlier, that we have segregated our areas. Now, the most difficult areas which are not possible to rejuvenate humanly, there we are going in for aerial seeding through seed balls, which we will be making of the indigenous species like dhok, ronj, kheri, as locally called. So then Ziziphus also as a director, indica, neem, all these species we will be making seed balls, and then it will be dispersed through air by using drone technology. And we have already selected the area in the district of Mendargarh. It is the area is known by name Golwa. So we have made the plans, and things are in the pipeline. We'll be attending that. Then secondly, near to Delhi, we have a very vital area which is known by the name of Badkal Lake area. Badkal used to be a lake, but now it is just all dry patch. We have taken, this is about 1600 acre of land. So we have divided this area for 3 years. And this year we are, since it is beginning of the project, we have some arrangements to make. We have taken up 200 hectare of land where we will be using different techniques for water harvesting. First of all these areas have biotic pressures. So we will be cordoning off by using various kinds of technique. It can be fence, it can be chain link fence, and at some places it can be the stone wall as well. And then inside we will be doing some planting, then some artificial regeneration, then some of the already existing root stock is there. So we will be rejuvenating that. And to harvest or maximize the precipitation in the area, we are making staggered contour trenches. So this is the technique which we are going to follow for the eco restoration of the Badkal area. Apart from this, we need to work for some people who live around, as they have cattle, so they have their genuine needs. So we are going to raise anjan grass, that is Sancrus ciliaris, around the areas, and we will encourage people to stall feed. And in the process, as the things move, we will be helping people to upgrade their skills so that their dependency on those forest lands or the degraded Aravalli hills, whatever is the area, that is reduced, and they go for some other occupations as well. So in a way, we intend to restore this area, and it is going to have lot of good impact on the water recharge as well. And at the back of the mind, we want to see the Badkal Lake, reviving the Badkal Lake and other springs in that area.
Thank you, ma'am. And I think Randeep must be listening about the rejuvenation of the Badkal Lake. I think one of the key, I think if Randeep should look for, I think PCCF Haryana's promise, after next 3 years in the Badkal in a boat, Randeep can move in a and you can shoot your film, one of the films on while boating in the Badkal. I think that will be the real achievement if we are able to do. I think that should be the milestone we should follow. And I think that's also addresses one of the question from the audience. Ishan Sharma, he had asked that how can artificial intelligence and machine learning can be used for the, you can say, land management and all. So coming to the further before, I think Dr. Reddy, quickly, if you can one very shortly, you can also briefly update that for the conservation of species in Aravallis, what are your visionary approach or what initiatives you are planning to take?
You have to unmute him.
Dr. Reddy, you have to unmute.
Yeah, actually, Rajasthan, we have a huge project called Rajasthan Forestry and Biodiversity Project. It is for the restoration of natural species in the entire Aravalli region. We have working plan exercises, and through series of exercises for at least in 4 or 5 districts, we have conducted survey of naturally occurring species. We have identified around 100, not in terms of IUCN classification, but within the state, depending on the population, we have identified 100 rare, threatened, and endangered species. We have listed out the seed months, and we are collecting them and trying to use our nurseries and distribute them to the public, so that at least these populations, which are in the very less in number, they are restored. Secondly, the Aravallis also, it is disjointed some places close to the human habitations. We are going for something called micro reserves. A wall of 6 feet high is raised so that there are no encroachments and mining, and we take care to grow only the natural species. Secondly, Rajasthan has 3 different species. The juliflora extensively in the entire Aravallis, and in the Mount Abu area lantana, and in Sariska area ardusa. These are the 3 invasive alien species. We are taking up extensively. We have submitted a project to Government of India for around 1,000 crores, so that we can restore the natural habitat and natural species within the Aravalli region. And we are putting a lot of emphasis on protected areas, where protected areas per se, they are having a lot of natural vegetation. We are trying to stop the degradation in the buffer regions. These are few initiatives which Rajasthan is taking.
To take 1 or 2 audience questions also, and other questions we will be requesting, if we receive, we will be responding to that. Mr. Soma Guru is asking that how long does a degraded land take to revitalize? Does it just take putting back animal waste into soil along with the trees? I think any one of you can respond. Dr. Reddy, would you like to respond, or Dr.?
It's not for me.
Yeah, Randeep, please.
No, it's not for me. It's for you guys. I'm the only one who's not a doctor here.
Actually, if we have root stock, mere closing of the area, even for 1 or 2 years, it is sufficient to restore the whole ecosystem. But it will take 8 to 10 years to get to the full size. But 1 or 2 years is just sufficient to have good regeneration of the area. But like the areas, some of the areas which Dr. Madam Kaur has told, the degradation is so much, there is no root stock, where it is not possible to allow the nature to restore on its own. So there we may need to artificially do planting through seeds or through artificial, we have to plant them.
Another one quick question from the, I will respond to Randeep's observation that all other are doctor, he is the one who is not doctor, but I will respond that he is the only actor here and no one else is the actor here. So there is one question from Dr. VK Kaur from Punjab Agriculture University, Ludhiana. What are your views on adopting action-oriented transformative policies to create green jobs for migrants at their home place and bring about legal provision and policies for change of land use type for various purposes, maybe agroforestry, horticulture, pastoral, and silviculture ecosystem for sustainability as well as energy efficiency? Quite a long question. A quick response, if Dr. Amarinder.
Yeah, Vivek, we have already taken up this step this year we have changed our policy for implementation of various schemes. Instead of just taking randomly, this year we have in Haryana, we have about 6,700 villages. And this is since the first year, and we have to do a lot of homework. We have taken up 1,100 villages, meaning thereby about 50 villages in 22 districts. And every village has its own plan. We are going to green all these 1,100 villages and taking up these projects under Manrega as well, so that whether it is COVID or no COVID, the local labor, they gets an opportunity to work and earn as well, so that everybody lives with dignity. This is the first requirement of every human being, whether it is food, fiber, or whatever. Dignity is the first. And through, I think through this kind of approach, we will be able to provide them employment and good livelihood, good lives in their villages. So for that, we are not restricting only, as normally pointed out, that agroforestry, we are promoting only few species like eucalyptus or poplar. We are giving long range of species and encouraging farmers to go in for those plantations. Even on the panchayat lands, a big shift has been approved by government that we are going for silvi horticulture species, so that the footprint of carbon is reduced for a longer period of time. People earn, live in green, and breathe green. So this is the approach which this is a big shift in the approach, and I believe that it is going to be certainly effective. Now, to make it happen, in every village we have selected one person whom by the name Vriksh Mitra. That Vriksh Mitra will be acting as a link between the village and the authority and the government, that too at the range level. And we will be involving that person in making arrangements at the village level, while it is surveys, plantation, or record keeping, or further incentives. Our government is involving school children for Padagiri as well, panchayats in Jal Shakti Abhiyan also. So we are making sure that through Manrega, we go in for that. And next step is to circumvent in future these kind of unfortunate situation which COVID has brought for all of us, that we are making the COVID Vijay Vatika, that where all these species which everybody tells you to take in kada of those ingredients, like whether it is giloy, it is tulsi, it is kapoor, and all those species, we are going to do the plantation in the villages, whether it is small scale or big scale. It depends upon the that village to adopt. So this is a big shift. And about the legal provision,
Thank you, Dr.
he
Kaur.
has asked about, no, he has asked about the legal provision. Vivek, there is no restriction on these species that must be told to people. Yeah.
What if the next pandemic has different
Thank you, Dr. Kaur.
required?
Actually,
that only time can tell. In 1920s, there was one pandemic, and after 100 years, so then let future take its own course.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, madam. And we certainly, because we are running short of time, and if there are more questions from the audience we are received, we will be requesting you to respond, and then we will be sending the reply. And has been a really very good session. And now for the final words from Mr. Randeep Hooda ji. And in the end, again, we will request you for the one slogan or mass appeal which we would like to take. So, sir, with your credited work over the years as an actor, you have achieved success and a huge fan following, not just in India, but also across the world. What message would you like to send across to them? How do you think they can contribute?
Well, I think there is not much you can do with fame except for good. That's what I feel. Otherwise, it has no benefit to yourself. You are just being with the phone camera, people chase you. But the one benefit I feel, which I realized a few years ago, is I can spread the word. The message that I would like to give is that the whole human organism is, the whole earth, the planet is one organism, and we should be very careful with it. do little steps that you can do. Now, a lot of people say, okay, I want to take care of the environment. How do I do it? I say that you don't have to do it full time. I'm a full-time actor. All you need to do is you need to be involved. You need to know about things. You need to start a conversation about it. And at your own level, do something which is a step towards making the planet a better place. Whether it is planting a tree, whether it is not buying a plastic bottle of water, whether it is turning off the faucet when you're washing your hands, whether it is buying a bicycle, or any of these steps, or going and helping people who are in these areas which you find out through your interest that are affected. So these little steps we all have to take. We all have to take it together. These doctors who are sitting with me on this panel can show you the way, but we have to follow it. There is nothing called talent in the world. It's all curiosity. And maybe, the more curious you are about the planet, more it will help you. Even your curiosity towards it will help you, will help the planet.
Thank you, Randeep. I think you shared the same views, because when we were having conversation with Sadhguru earlier in this today's session only, and Sadhguru had viewed that we don't need the PhD environmentalist who talk, you can say, environment in such a complicated language, because the nature and nature care needs to be told in a very simple manner. So that certainly, I think you share the same views, because for taking care of the nature, we need action at the ground level. We don't need, you can say, rocket science or like that. It is the common science which we need to implement. We need to be aware about surrounding. We need to take care of the nature. And the COVID also teaches us a lesson that what way we should our future cities, what way we should look to our consumption pattern, in what way we want to see our rivers, surrounding air. We aim, it should be to have the, you can say, the best of the ecosystem services needs to be sustained. And now, before wrapping up the session, quick one sentence with the message everybody wants to give before we wrap up. So Dr. Reddy, just in one sentence, what should be your key message from your side?
Yeah, key message is we need to have a land use agreed upon by the governmental agencies, which is to be backed up by a legal valid government orders. If there is no legally valid government orders to fix the land use, it will get converted, changed. Whatever we talk of philosophy, it is not going to work out. This is the high time we fix it.
Ready, Dr. Amarinder Kaur, just one sentence, what message you would like to give?
Yeah, my message is that we all live first for the self, and we do the action, that is plant a tree and arrange a cylinder of oxygen for your own self. That's my message to everyone.
Thank you. Dr. Pradeep Monga from the UNCCD Secretariat.
Yeah. Thank you, Vivek. My key message is it's time we should have a new social contract with nature. For healthy people and for healthy planet, we must invest in sustainable land management for green cities, green jobs, green products, and like Mr. Hooda mentioned, green sustainable lifestyles. The choices will make our future more sustainable for next generations to come.
Thank you, Dr. Monga. And I would also like to share the key message from the IUCN headline before I turn over to Randeep again for the final message. And the IUCN headline message is: the sustainable management of our agricultural land can play a significant role in halting the biodiversity loss and improving our relationship with the nature. So we have to improve our relation with the nature. Now coming to Randeep again.
As Mr. Reddy said, there have to be laws, there has to be implementation, and we on these panels can't do much unless we change and educate the people who are actually there in contact with that land, whether it is forest, desert, degrading land, or wetlands. We have to take care of those people first. They in turn will take care of the larger problem for us, and it is only through education and sensitization.
Yeah, thank you. And Dr. Monga, if you would like to sum up a little bit before finally we wind up today's session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saxena. Once again, I must thank all the panelists also. This webinar, which was conceived together with IUCN and UNCCD to celebrate World or Global Desertification and Drought Day, and focusing attention on sustainable land management, on sustainable nature, and of course, coexistence with nature for the world we want, especially in COVID-19, post-COVID-19 world. So this webinar sent out a very strong message right in the beginning by Sadhguru, followed by all the panelists here now, that we need nature. Nature doesn't need us. And we must coexist with nature. We have very strong social contract with nature, where we really assume that nature and ecosystem services are as important as our needs and greeds are. Like Dr. Reddy mentioned very clearly on the legal side, on making it on the institutional side, and of course, Dr. Kaur and Mr. Hooda mentioned many times, is implementation, action on the ground. We can discuss in this webinar very good concepts and very good issues, and we can really come up with very good solutions. But unless we translate those solutions in action on the ground, and like Sadhguru mentioned, how we can convey our message in a simple way that everybody connects to that, whether it is students, whether it is farmers, whether it is a poor communities or rich people, all together we are part. We have a common present and we have a common future. And for that, we must invest land for climate resilience, biodiversity conservation, and of course, sustainable production and consumption patterns, and making our lifestyles where we can leave this world better than before we came, inherited it. So thank you from UNCCD side once again, IUCN India, and especially to you, Dr. Vivek Saxena, and to your wonderful team for organizing this webinar. Congratulations.
Thank you. And on behalf of IUCN, I once again thank you everyone. And today really we had a very, you can say, good discussion and a very panel. And the real celebration, or you can say organization of the Desertification Drought Day, if we take a pledge, we renew our pledge and ensure that whatever commitments we make, we follow it on the day-to-day basis. And that will be the real success, and hoping that certainly we doing some short or acting while boating in the Bhatkal Lake in future in Haryana.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that
most
should be
welcome,
our
everyone.
mission. That
Looking forward to see you all there.
yeah.
yes, I would like to join also from Bonn there.
Yeah. Most welcome. Thank you so much.
So this can be headline also. From Bonn, people will come to boating in Bhatkal. I think that can be the some key motto. And I am also thankful to Sadhguru, and the Sadhguru message during the earlier conversation today certainly is a very deep imprint, and some of the very relevant messages he gave, that we need to invest in our soils. Soils needs to be healthy, because in earlier, and the soils, for healthy soils, the soils need near about 40% shadow. Because one example he gave, that in the past, when from the outside world people used to travel to India, they used to see that the people eat lot of fruits, and those fruits had lot of nutrients. But today the fruits we eat, though we say the fruits, sometimes those nutritional value is missing because of the, you can say, some sort of various type of pollution, chemicals and other use, and the surrounding air in which these fruits grow. So we need to ensure if the fruits will be fruitful only if the soils in which they grow, they are also healthy. So we need to invest in the soils, ensure soils are healthy, take care of the nature, and that should be the key motto. And large participation in today's webinar is certainly a success, and we had the privilege of Sadhguruji's things, then mass appeal by the only actor in this panel and other the doctors. So Randeep Hooda ji, once again on behalf of IUCN, I am really grateful that at such a short notice and you agreed and shared such a, you can say, thoughts, and your passion for the nature and nature conservation is really very good. And thank you, actor Randeep, not Dr. Randeep. And I will also thankful to Dr. Amarinder Kaur, PCCF Haryana, PCCF, and especially Dr. Pradeep Monga, UNCCD Deputy Executive Secretary. And I think today UNCCD is organizing a number of events. In the evening, they have a ministerial panel also at the Bon time. So with these words, I once again thank you everyone for the today's webinar. And I hope with your guidance, we will be able to take this momentum further. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
very
much once again. Thank you.